What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. Today we're gonna talk about the Milwaukee Bucks and what they can do to get on the right track. First, as always, when I do these rebuildings, I try to give you guys an idea of what this team is trying to accomplish and what they have to do to get where they need to be, which is be a championship contender. This team was 44-38, making the playoffs and getting put out in the first round in 7 games by my Boston Celtics. Um, they had the best player in the series, and on top of that, Giannis was in Game 7. And Boston didn't have no go-to guys, and they still could not advance. Now, would they have beat Philly? They played well against them in the regular season, and they had good matchups against them. They just couldn't get past my Boston Celtics. So let's talk about what the Bucks have done right. This is gonna go back even further than just the team. Bucks is an organization since I live in Wisconsin, so as growing up, this team was not where Kareem and Oscar was. They was more or less for the last 20 years, trying to be competitive enough to make the playoffs, kind of like the Memphis Grizzlies, make the playoffs, get that extra revenue in, build a team that can, get to the playoffs. And I always didn't like it. And then next thing you know, they get new ownership, and now they're focused on building towards the future. Um, Obviously, we had players like Ray Allen, Michael Redd, um, just to name a few. And now we have a guy that became a two-time All-Star in Giannis Antetokounmpo, who some people say top 5. I personally say Giannis is a top 10 player, and he basically, to me, proved it in that Boston series that he's not one of the elite of the elite. He definitely is a player that you would rather have at 23, a guy that plays on both sides of the ball. He's long, he's lanky, he's athletic. The NBA is going more toward a wing-centric team. Even though you see the last couple of drafts, a lot of big men been in the draft, like Aiden, like Towns, like Embiid. You had Okafor, you had Nerlens Noel. You still have Jokic, you have Nurkic, you have DeMarcus Cousins, you have AD. The big men are starting to come back. They're starting to become more versatile, but we still have the Kawhis that won a championship, the Iguodala's that won a championship, LeBron James, the Kevin Durant that became the Finals MVPs, and nowadays you want to have that wing guy, and they have that already in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So that's the first building block. Having a superstar that people want to come and see, that can sell tickets, that's international, that's an all-star. And Giannis is a back-to-back all-NBA player too. So any average 20 and 10 to even take even further. But I like Giannis because not only is he's a good playmaker for his size and his position, he plays hard. He fights offensively and defensively, trying to get blocks, trying to get steals, not scared to guard the person best player, not scared to go at anybody's head. The problem with him is his scoring still can be a little bit more diverse. He can still have a little bit more weapons. Sometimes it's paint or die for him. If he can't get to the paint, he likes to defer. If he can't get to the paint, he just doesn't attack the same. But he is a guy that's damn near impossible to stop. But if you can wall him off or force him to, stay at the perimeter a little bit more, Giannis can become very spectatorish, and he can become very, he's not as aggressive as if he see a hole in the paint, compared to having to use that 3-point shot or that jumper. He don't have the confidence in it yet. He has got that little fadeaway going. He has the little pull-up game, but he ain't as confident because he ain't the same player when he's forced to take those shots. Chris Middleton had a phenomenal um, season in the playoffs. He averaged 20 points a game in the regular season, destroyed the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, shooting over 60% from the field in three in some games. And for the series, he shot over 50% and 50% from three. A guy that can give you 20 points guaranteed the season. Guaranteed the season, and he is a guy that actually elevated his game against one of the top, probably the number one defense in the NBA in the Celtics. And they had wing defenders, they had the long, lanky defenders, and he just had his way with them. And they matched up good against the Bucks, and he just was phenomenal. He still need to fill out his all-around game. He's more of a scorer. He's more. They call him a 3-and-D guy. I think you can't call him that no more because of the mid-range game, because of the post game, and because he's a solid 15 and under. He's not just a guy that sits in the corner and shoot threes. He's a guy that can create his own shot. He's a guy that can score in multiple ways, but he still need to fill out his passing game, his rebounding games. He need to find out other ways to impact the game offensively. And if he can fill out the rest of that, he can become a better player than he is now. But it also will elevate his teammates because now when he's getting double teamed, now is when he's getting triple teamed, he can find those open guys. They got the rookie of the year last year, Malcolm Brogdon, a guy that missed some significant time at the end of the season and came back for the playoffs, and they needed him, giving them a guy that can shoot the three, play some great defense, and create his own shot to a certain extent. Jabari Parker is a guy that's big and athletic. He showed that he can get you 20 points because he averaged it one season. And on top of that, he can give you a spark plug off that bench if that's his role. And he played well in the playoffs. He showed that he can be a good defender too when he wants to be, because defense is all about effort and energy. And when he wanted to defend, he showed you that he can do it even against the Celtics. But he also showed that he can score. He can be unstoppable. He has more moves to me than Chris Middleton, and he's younger than Chris Middleton, and he showed that he can score probably more different ways than Giannis and Chris Middleton combined, and that's a guy you definitely want on your roster, especially for his age, but the injuries have been a major concern. Missing significant time with major injuries has really hurted Jabari Parker and hurted his value around the league because he has two big tears in his knees, and that does decrease your value. So it's going to be hard to re-sign him because he feels like he's this and he's on this page, while the Bucks is trying to be cautious with the cap. Because let's be real, you can't really build a championship team around Jabari, Giannis, and Middleton. Especially with Boston getting better and Philly potentially getting better, and we don't know what LeBron going to do. You know, adding Coach Budenholzer is going to give them a more versatile offense. They're going to have a different type of look defensively. Jason Kidd never really readjusted his defenses as he could continue coaching. Budenholzer is an adjustment person. He looks at what the team is doing. He's looking at how they're getting guarded, and he makes adjustments in games and during games and even after games. He likes to change up lineups. He likes to, utilize ball movement and team play first. And I think that's definitely a guy that you want with the Bucks because their offense has been one of the worst things that has happened to them over the last couple of years. They haven't been able to really score enough points to warrant a great offense, and they haven't been able to play good enough defensively consistently to put them over the top as a championship contender. But in this draft, they have definitely some more picks to go in. With the 17th pick, they have a lot of guards there. Kyrie Thomas, Gary Trent, Anthony Simmons. You have Lonnie Walker. And then you start getting more of the forwards with Kevin Herter and Chandler Hudson and Troy Brown and DiVincenzo and Mitchell Robertson as a center. You also got to add in that they still do have Thon McCarr, a guy that has a lot of potential. They took in the lottery. He can stretch out the floor. He can protect the rim to a certain extent. He can rebound to a certain extent. He's still raw. I think he's going to be a good impact player for them in the future. But I don't really think the draft matter as much for them because they already know who their stars is. They already know who their best players. You can go that way if you want to. They already know who their stars is. They already know who their best players are. They already have guys they can give the ball to. They already have guys that develop. They already had guys that came in and made an impact, and they know what they're trying to do. I think the biggest thing for them is continually to improve internally, trying to keep the guys that they have together. Remember, Eric Bledsoe will be a free agent after next season, so that clears them some space. Remember, Dellavedova will be gone. John Henson will be gone. And even though that money could be gone because they have to either decide can they agree to a fair deal with Jabari Parker, or is they going to give him an offer sheet that's going to force them to match but puts them so heavy into the cap with Giannis, with Middleton getting expensive deals, and you still have Bledsoe, Henson, and Dellavedova under contract. It's going to be tough for this Bucks team to really make major moves this offseason, and they're not really known as a team that's going to sign big name free agents because nobody really wants to play in Milwaukee. Even though it is more attractive with Middleton and Giannis, I don't really see a particular person that can fit in and come in right away and dominate because they don't need Paul George, they don't need LeBron, they don't need KD. Even though you prefer to have them, they have those positions filled already, and those players will cost 30 million plus dollars to get anyway, which they don't have that type of money. Another thing is, if they do get Jabari Parker, they're going to have to find ways to maneuver some of these contracts out of them. And the 17th pick might be one of the things that they do to move a John Henson or to move a Deladova. I like Deladova, but you do have Brogdon now. That's on a cheaper deal than a rookie contract. And, you rather give a younger player that's developing more minutes than give it to a veteran that might not be around after next season anyway. Obviously, Thon needs to continue to improve for this team to hit a ceiling because you have a long, lanky, athletic, mobile defense, and you'll have the floor spacing that Thon provides, making Giannis' job a lot easier, giving space for Middleton and Murray in the post, and then that mid range allowing them to go isolation, and you can't really double team because they can always kick it out to the shooters. And Giannis is a hard worker, and he improved to me every season. If you look at the numbers too, so at the end of the day, that's one thing you got to see is that this team has continually improved. The bad part about this team is that they never really improved to a contender. Obviously, Peter Fagan. I met Jason Kidd and Peter Fagan already. I know them personally, but. One thing I would definitely say is that this team hasn't been able to get over that hump, and the East is only getting bigger at the top of the conference, not at the middle or the end, but at the top of the East. It's going to be difficult to beat these teams, and if you're not making that one trade that puts you up there with them, you're going to be rebuilding forever because the teams that's on top are still young, just like you. So ain't like it's Toronto who's getting older. You have Philly and Boston that's young and getting better, and they already ahead of you in the rebuilding process. So you got to catch up and beat them while still trying to stay in front of them, so that way they don't pass you up. But they're so far behind now, but they're not at a terrible position. I feel like the Bucks are still at a position where you see a Mike Budenholzer see the potential and see what he can do with this team. I think he's gonna try to switch as much as he can. I think he's gonna definitely try to get these guys to be more specific at their spots. He's gonna put them in different positions. He's gonna put them in different type of lineups that we haven't seen before, and you're gonna see a more team pass friendly offense, a better team oriented defense, but they're gonna have to need that anchor. And I thought that they'll try to go after DeAndre Jordan, for example, because he is one of those guys that can anchor your defense. I never thought that personally that DeAndre was a great defender, but that's the word around the league that he is. And you rather have a guy like that than not, but you're gonna have to pay him a lot of money to come. And is your ceiling really that high with Giannis and DeAndre Jordan as your center? Can you really win a championship with that roster? We won't really know because the fact of they're still so young and they still haven't reached their peak power. So they might be able to do it in the future. But like I said, they still got to compete against the Phillies and the Bostons and the Torontos of the world, which they haven't been able to do. Because remember, this Milwaukee Bucks team haven't even got out of the first round. And that's what I was saying about the first couple owners. They didn't really care about enough about trying to build a championship team, even though it can be hard to do it in Milwaukee in general. They're doing it better already with the new ownership right now. And if they do keep this 17th pick, they have to pick a guy that can come in and contribute right away, kind of like what they did with Brogdon. You picking a little later in the draft, but still in the lottery, you still want to get a guy that can come in and contribute right away. So you might want to, if you keep the pick and not try to get rid of it to build some cap space, um, which they really need to do too if they want to re-sign Jabari Parker. But if they do keep the pick, you have some guards that can come in and contribute, definitely, and they can back up Malcolm Brogdon and especially Chris Middleton if they continue to put him at the two. Or if they put him at the three, you still got guys like Kevin and Chandler and Troy Brown that you can take a little earlier just in case you don't trade down or you want to make sure you get the player that you really want. or you can just draft guards that can come in and contribute right away, kind of like Gary Trent and Kyrie Thomas, who they are actually projected to pick. Now that I see, but you also can trade down in the draft and get guys like Jalen Brunson and Aaron Holiday. That's juniors. That's more of a sure thing, and that's good value for you because you don't really need anything at this point, and you're trying to develop your nucleus and your main core and try to get them as best as they can be, then continue to build on top of that to become a championship contender. So the Bucks are definitely going in the right direction, getting a better coach, getting better owners that care more about winning and not just doing good enough. Giannis is developing and getting better every season. You have Chris Middleton that had his best season ever. You have Jabari Parker showing that he's going to try and fight more defensively, especially if they give him that contract extension. They definitely need him to play on both sides of the court, and that's going to be monstrous. You get another development summer of Thon McCart, who worked out with Kevin Garnett last year. He gets to get more months to work on his body, work on his strength, work on his conditioning, and work on his other skills like rebounding and protecting that rim and knocking down that three consistently. So this team has a whole offseason to figure out what they're going to do, what type of direction they're going to go in, and what identity they're going to have with a new coach, while still developing these players that has consistently showed on paper in numbers wise that they've been developing and getting better every season, and try to find that person that can put them on that level of the Bostons, of the Phillies, of the Torontos, and wherever LeBron may go if it's in the East, to still contend. But like I said, Indiana's getting better. Detroit, you never know what they're going to do because they already have Blake and Andre Drummond. So there's some teams that you got to watch out for in the East, and let's see if the Bucks can compete against them. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description in the comment section below. And let me know what you guys really think about the Milwaukee Bucks in the comment section below, too.